Good afternoon, everyone. The grand solar minimum crop losses need to be disguised. Wheat export changed from the previous year. All the players red. Bare store shelves blamed on supply chain disruptions, not cycles. Top exporters around the world of wheat, both players involved. Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan. Ukraine shuts ports, 29% of global wheat exports gone. Suspended commercial shipping, prices up. These countries are going to be hit first. Watch for the knock-on civil unrest in these areas as we come into the planting season. Production in question. Teal, green, plant, till, not going to happen. Ukraine, 30 million tons, 26 million tons of wheat off the table at the moment. And somehow the World Economic Forum pops back up with Russia joins the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution network. Keep your head above the chaos. Let's talk about crop pricing moving forward. Is 2022 the year we see capital rotation out of risk assets like crypto and stocks? Jumping into safe haven assets like gold. Gold investors haven't been losing sleep over the stock market's taper tantrum, with Blackstone warning of a lost decade, quote unquote, where stock market returns are anemic. We have Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo all forecasting gold over $2,000 an ounce in 2022, and Bloomberg says there's a potential for $3,000 per ounce on their price targets. Learn how simple it is to add physical gold and silver to your portfolio ahead of the rise in inflation and predicted price rises. Patriot Gold Group has the no fee for life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold and silver. Call 1-800-356-4470 and get a free investor guide today. And with the knowledge that Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer from 2016 to present, click on the link in the description box below for more information. And now on with the video. And those of you who have followed my channel for many years, thank you so much for the support. Here we are, grand solar minimum. This is it. Crop losses need to be disguised from this year forward. It cannot be the fault of the sun and governments not warning the populace of the planet that we're repeating a 400-year cycle. It's going to be something else. This map from 2018, talking about country forecasts and losses that I put together myself. Red nations are going to go offline first. Notice the peach-colored nations, they can expand production. Wow. Exactly there. And Kazakhstan staying online much longer than others as well. An additional 5 years or so. I would actually turn Argentina red at the moment, along with New Zealand. Gray means I didn't have enough information to put a solid forecast, but I'm going to change New Zealand to red, Argentina to red, and suddenly things start to make a little more sense. Let's look at Kazakhstan. 13.8 million tons of wheat. Swing producer. Problems there? Yes, there were. How is it that all the swing producers across the planet are suddenly in political turmoil? Wheat exports changed from the previous year. Red, red, red. Problem. You think that would decline further without any intervention? I bet it would, with fertilizer shortages inbound this year, along with herbicide shortages. Northern Hemisphere, May would be a major news headline about how much food we couldn't grow. So we're going to intensify these shortages on the shelves. Has to be excuses why. You know, it was all about gas deliveries, but look how many routes go through Ukraine. Nord Stream 2 not being approved, so the other routes north and around. But let's jump back to the old Soviet era, the old networks. Still, look how many are passing through Ukraine on the left side there. Belarus as well, Northern Lights. And the newest pipelines completed, except Nord Stream 2 not approved, and you can see how the gas would move or not. Convenient excuse for other... Wait, we're talking about food here. Let's go back to the top wheat exporters around the world. Too many narratives to deflect from one to the next, right? There's a cover for a cover. It's all about the food. Hungry people change governments. People that are cold in their homes because they don't get gas, they're not going to change governments. Hungry people in the streets do that. Top wheat exporters, Russia, Canada, they're going to go offline as well and have reduced production like they have the last few years. And then we have Kazakhstan and Ukraine. What are the chances? And now Argentina, with the southern hemisphere cooling from the Tonga eruption. This is basically a forecast list where it's going to decline production first. So suddenly, 29% of the global wheat exports have been cut off across the planet, sending commodities prices into a tizzy. 19% of the world's corn all stopped. Conflict ensues. Russia, 17% of all global exports. But not a lot of people know that this year they suspended all fertilizer exports due to the global fertilizer shortage, which would reduce yields globally as it was. Now this supply chain disruption and then all these rumors of war here, there, and everywhere, and now actual conflict happening is going to reduce numbers further, so there'll be excuse, narrative on top of excuse built in while there's so much food price increase and unavailability moving forward. Never talk about the sun, never talk about a grand solar minimum. 400-year cycles don't exist. Oh wait, they do, but you got to cover for it. Because people will be way more angry then. Having the world's largest wheat producing countries produce less to the point it's very noticeable. 8 billion people will grow enough food for 7 billion this year. Let's jump into Ukrainian production. Corn, 30 million tons, left side, 5-year average. Wheat, 26 million tons. These are the numbers we're looking at that are affected at the moment. Jumping over to Russia, 77 million tons of wheat. Barley's going to be a big one, 13 million tons of corn. Now that's all as a total. Not all that's exported, obviously, but these two exporters are a lion's share of what's going out across the planet to specific regions of our planet. So Ukraine military is suspending commercial shipping at these ports here. And if you look at that second paragraph, main grain exporting ports, so I try to double check and make sure that these areas were indeed offline. And when you see ADM, which is Archer Daniels Midland, pull off and close their facilities in Odessa, you know it's the real deal. That'd be like Halliburton pulling back out of somewhere. So Bunge, or Bunge as you would say it in American, also pulling back, shuttering operations. Red boxes are the different ports affected so far. Mark those on the map for you. That link's listed in the description box below so you can chase down some of these maps and articles, interactive, so you know exactly the region we're talking about. And then this will match up with another graphic right here off the Black Sea export routes. Now, since the Black Sea is currently closed, ED, past tense, closed, nothing's coming out of there. So where are these other countries going to get their food stuffs, animal feed, fodder? Where's that coming from? It's not. So these knock-ons into infinitum of one place can't get their fertilizer, one place can't get their imports, it's going to create a huge societal problem. Now perhaps that's planned. Breadbasket of Europe. If you knew a grand solar minimum was going to knock production out of anything 45 degrees north and anything 45 degrees south, there would have to be other areas that would come online to maximum production to take and offset the losses from other areas. Northern Sahel, Northern Africa would be one. Here's another breadbasket. Europe and Kazakhstan. These all make perfect sense if you're looking at it from a different way versus just energy. Food is going to be the most valuable commodity on the planet at the end of the year. Oil will be a distant second. Density map here, which I had never seen before, of Ukraine. Now, the red area there are the two areas that had asked for protection from Russia, but notice the density. You know, if Kiev has almost 3 million people and Lubansk at 400,000, jumping over to crop and food prices climbing multi-year highs, The further this goes, the longer it drags out, the higher these prices are going to go. We're coming into record pricing almost for wheat. Now, if we go back to 1400s, obviously it was 7x what the normal rate was. We're going to be pushing up to 3x, 4x. And I don't mean foreign exchange. I mean 4 times the price or 3 times the price on the futures markets. And when you watch all your money disappear into the supermarket, you'll see why cycles repeat and how we've come to this world right now. Let's look at corn exports, mainly for cattle, pork, chicken, and some things that we eat. We need that high fructose corn syrup in most of the factory-made products. Without that, oh, did I mention the ethanol in the gasoline fuel supply as well as Europe with their green agendas? Corn exports, it's already down in some countries, but looking at the January 12, 2022 corn report from the USDA, they're showing record production. That is going to be halted on export and the areas here that are being grown. North Central, an enormous amount of conflict happening at the moment. But if we swing over into Russia's corn production, it's all along the Ukrainian border. So could you imagine disruptions for either country because of what's happening? Let's jump over to the wheat production. And if you look at Ukraine on the far left there, you see central 22%, Caucasus, North Caucasus, in the southern regions. That is the lion's share of wheat production in Russia as well, right along that border. So the producers and the exporters are going to be limited in what they can grow this year and what they're going to export. So, knock on. Who's buying what from which country? Top blue, Russia. Bottom red, Ukraine. I'm unequivocally saying these areas right here are going to experience civil unrest first. Indonesia, Philippines, Tunisia, and Thailand. South Korea, they can deal with it. They have a little more money, but when those prices get too high, you're going to watch street protests. Bangladesh and Turkey and Egypt already have agreements, so they will be supplied first. And this is the wild card right here. This determines if we have enough food on the planet and how high your food prices are going to escalate. The teal is the tilling or plowing the fields. The green is the planting dates. Middle of February, literally 3 weeks from now, if this is not resolved, food production gets pushed back. Now, the northern areas I showed you already where production was, and if we go into the East Forest Zone, we see the same profile. Tilling, planting happening in another 3 weeks. The southern steppe, that's where all the wheat is, and you'll see there should be planting already the first weeks of March. That's going to be halted, delayed. We're coming into this crucial 2 months. If this does not get into the ground and tilled up, there will be tens of millions of tons not grown this year. That's in addition to the losses from the grand solar minimum, weather pattern shifts, the cloud cells, the jet streams, and most importantly, the herbicide and the fertilizer shortages knocking 12% off global yields anyway, and now this on top. So who's wagging what dog? Because this is going to be an excuse for non-growing of wheat and corn. But wait, we already had the fertilizer shortages inbound that were going to knock down corn and wheat production. And the grand solar minimum was already reducing global crop yields, which would explain, if you knew the timelines for the grand solar minimum, all these sociological changes we're seeing are riding exactly year for year, month for month on top of this. So look at the Ukraine crop calendar. Green, if it's not in the ground and maturing by then, your food's gone. So can you imagine taking out 10% of the global supply in addition to the fertilizer shortages, knocking another 10% out? This is a distraction. This is a 10% loss, plus the fertilizer and herbicide 10% loss. We're looking at 25% down on global yields this year. And it's just a little quirky that it's happening, and Kazakhstan's going off swing producer 10, 13 million tons. And World Economic Forum keeps rearing its head again. Russia joins center on the Fourth Industrial Revolution Network. We're being played left, right, center, C, D, E, A, C strings. Rise above it, or you can reassess and take action for you and your families. I would definitely be heading out to the supermarkets before this weekend because I think Saturday, Sunday of this week, there's going to be a massive run on foods when people realize what's really happened. And please join me every Thursday night, 10 p.m. to midnight, Studio A, Revolution Radio, where Ransom Godwin, 420 TV, Freedomist Films, and myself talk about these different cycles of history that keep repeating and why governments are responding to and understand the cycles, but the populace doesn't just yet. And while you're out at the supermarkets this weekend getting prepared, you might want to think about emergency foods, something that you can store a little bit longer than, say, a bag of flour that could last for a year. What about 25-year shelf life foods? There's going to be some strangeness here inbound, so if you could stay back, pull back until things are safe enough to get back out, that'd be great for everybody. Because if you're more prepared, if we're all more prepared, then getting through these challenges is going to be much, much easier. Wish you the best in your preparations. Now, all the links for tonight's stories, maps, images, graphics are in the description box below the video, so you can chase down, do more of your own research, and pass these links on to others that you want to, get involved in your conversation. Because like I say, we're all in this together. I do appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time right now with me, and I'll see you next video.